This lecture is a general introduction to poetry. We will discuss in this what is poetry, its structure, the elements of poetry, and so on and so on and so forth. So first of all, what is poetry? In poetry, the sound and meaning of words are combined to express feelings, thoughts, and ideas. So, in poetry, the sound is also important. The sound is very much important. So the poet chooses words very carefully, and poetry is usually it's written in lines. And you know that a group of lines is called a stanza. And remember that there is always a space between stanzas, and this is how you can tell where one stanza ends and the next begins. So the following are the elements that can be found in poetry. So each poem, except free verse, it has a type of rhythm. We also call the rhythm as meter. Okay, or you can also call it beat. So rhythm is an important part of the structure of a poem. In poetry, rhythm is expressed through stressed and unstressed syllables. For example, take the word poetry. Poetry. So po, it is stressed, while tree, it is not. So poetry. So this creates a rhythm. So the another example can be, for example, table. The table. So table, ta is stressed. We put emphasis on this word, ta. So in the same way, if there is word, for example, banana, banana. So we put emphasis on the second syllable, banana. So the poets, they make use of these natural stresses in language in order to create rhythms in poetry, in order to create musical feel in the poetry, in order to create flow in a poem. Okay, so this it can be helpful to think of rhythm in poetry as being like a beat in music. Okay, so in poetry, this pattern of the stressed and unstressed part of words is called the meter. And if you, for example, see this poem or the song, Where Are You Now? So when you read it aloud, you will see some musical effect in these lines. So the sound is very much important in poetry. For example, when the night begins to fall and sky begins to glow, you look up and see the tall city of lights begin to grow. So in poetry, this meter is very much important. The meter means the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. When the night and the sky begins to fall, begins to glow. So this rhythm, it gives poetry musical, metrical effect. The meter gives its musical effect. So the next element is sound, and it is also very much important. all the poems, they are meant to be heard, and writers, they love to use interesting sounds in their poetry. So how can the sound be created? The sound can be created through these devices. First is rhyme, then repetition, alliteration, and onomatopoeia. Rhymes are words that end with the same sound. Hat, cat, and bat. These words, they rhyme. So for example, twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So star and they rhyme. They have the same sound. Rhyming sounds don't have to be spelled the same way. So it is not important that they can be spelled in the same way. The spelling can be different, but the sound can be the same. So cloud and loud. So the rhythm in poetry is created through rhyme. So, and the rhyme is the repetition of similar sounds. Now we discuss the rhyming pattern. What do we mean by rhyming pattern? If you see this poem, first snow. So snow makes whiteness where it falls. The bushes look like popcorn footballs, and places where I always play look like somewhere else today. So the first line, it ends with fall, then balls, play, and today. So the rhyme scheme will be AABB. The first falls, it sounds with balls, and play sounds with today. And then there is this second poem, oodles of noodles. Oodles means lot of. So I love noodles, give me oodles, make a mound up to the sun. Okay, make a kind of mountain of the noodles. He's saying noodles are my favorite foodles that you eat. I eat noodles by the ton. So the rhyming pattern of this poem will be oodles. It then sounds with the third line, foodles, and the second line sounds, or it has second similar sounds like the fourth line. So the rhyming pattern in this poem will be AB and AB. And then we have the rhyming pattern of AB, BA. So let me fetch sticks, let me fetch stones. If you see, there is a repetition. So musical effect, or the rhythmical effect, it is created through repetition. Repetition occurs when poets repeat words, phrases, or lines in a poem. It creates a pattern or rhythm, and it strengthens the feelings and the mood of the poem. So here you will see the repetition of the word buttery, pancake, and so on. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds, especially at the beginning of words. For example, if I say that Moses ran the motor for a moment, Moses motor moment. So it creates repetition, and then this repetition creates musical effect. And in this poem you can see the repetition of certain words. So in this short introductory lecture, we discussed poetry, and in poetry we discussed its elements. So in poetry, the thing that is important is the sound. Okay, and in order to create musical effect in the poem, rhythmical effect in the poem, we arrange words in a way that create musical, that create interesting pattern of sound. Okay, and this thing, the pattern of sounds are the arrangement of sounds, the arrangement of words in a way that they have beautiful sounding effect, then it creates poetry. In the second lecture we will discuss other things related to poetry.